17 minutes before the hour, and a longtime friend and co-worker in the media from years ago, current Sylacauga City Councilman Tom Roberts, and newly hired as the president of the Childersburg Chamber of Commerce. Tom, good morning to you and congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure how congratulations work. I'm not feeling like that. I'm feeling this as another big obligation that I have to the people of the region around here.
A lot of people were taken by surprise by the announcement.
Well, this hasn't been something that's been a short-lived conversation. I know I've been pretty much on the folks over there in Childersburg about, as we discussed before we came on the air, it's an important position that doesn't need to sit empty. It needs some stability. It needs some people that are active in promoting. It's the Chamber of Commerce, and commerce is an important driver in any community, Jimmy Dale, and I'm excited about the prospects of doing this. It's a big challenge because being associated with Sylacauga for so long, I do have some connections in Childersburg, as you well know. And when you're in the media, especially sports media, you have to wear a slightly different kind of hat. And you have to open your thought process to that it's okay to be a Childersburg fan and a Sylacauga fan and a B.B. Comer fan. Those kind of things just go hand in hand with being in the media. And this position is that of an organizer. It's someone that builds bridges. It's someone that brings people together, identifies stakeholders. It's a cheerleader position in a lot of ways. And I feel like, as it's been pointed out to me in a number of conversations that I've had with business people and chamber board members, especially the executive board over in Childersburg, that this whole process is something that, although it's a surprise and a shock, even to me, it's something that's very natural because of my experiences in the media, in business, in the political world, that I fit that profile of someone who can and will work hard for the benefit of Childersburg. And one part of a conversation I think was very key for making me feel comfortable with this. I was talking with the chairman of their board, Mort Moody, who's another longtime friend. We've known each other since we were wee young ones. And he said he was approached by a board member who knew they were considering a handful of us for that position, and they said, how can you look at somebody from Sylacauga? How are they going to put Childersburg first? And Mort's answer took me by surprise. He said, I told him he's not. Childersburg is going to be on an even playing field with Sylacauga, Oak Grove, Fayetteville, and all those other areas because we're all interlinked and connected very strongly economy-wise as far as commerce is concerned, and that's a big factor. He doesn't want me to lean too hard in any one direction because they are all connected. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of attention in my life on Childersburg, but there always has been. I've got a lot of friends over there.
Of course, re-election coming up, city elections in Sylacauga, and as well as Childersburg and other municipalities. And you're an incumbent city councilman here, and of course, being hired as the president of the Childersburg Chamber of Commerce, some might consider that a conflict. How would you answer that?
Well, it's an easy thing for me. Number one, I addressed that early in conversations with the executive board of the Childersburg Chamber of Commerce, and they don't see it as a conflict. They see it as an asset. Now, as to whether or not I continue on with the city council and run for re-election, I'm putting a lot of thought. And one minute I'm leaning hard in one direction, the next minute I'm leaning hard in the other direction. As you were pointing out before we came on the air, it's a draining position if you put your heart and soul into it, which I believe I did. I've given it my best effort, and the time that it takes away from business and family and other obligations is intense. And I'm not going to make that decision lightly. At the same time, we've still got some time. You can't pick up the papers to actually fill out and technically qualify for the election until July the 1st, can't turn them in until July the 5th. And right now, I'm concentrating on getting comfortable with my new job and meeting people that I've known for a long time, but with a different perspective. And that has started quickly. Economic development is a very, very important factor, and I started that in earnest yesterday, meeting with some elected officials as well as a potential business and industrial development, industrial investor in our area, and those kind of things are important, and that's my focus right now. And I'll take some quiet time with my family to decide what the future politically is, but being a part of that political world is one of the factors that drew me to that and drew them to me over in Childersburg, because that's a big part of it. Working with elected officials is essential.
There was, having been on the board of the Chamber of Commerce here in Sylacauga for several years, no longer that, but there had been discussion for a couple of years that I know of about the merging of Sylacauga and Childersburg Chamber of Commerces. At one time, it was talking about a Talladega County Chamber of Commerce, but I've heard and been in meetings of the possibility of Sylacauga and Childersburg merging. You have thoughts on that?
Well, if you want to get technical, that's probably how my coming to this position got started. Over a year ago, when the late Bubba Kleckler was appointed to the city council over in Childersburg and was serving as the president and CEO of the Childersburg Chamber, he was wrestling with the idea of chamber or council or both, and he did both for a while and one for another time. But that's when that conversation came up. As far as the two chambers coming together as one, I think that's there's some positives, there's some negatives, there's some roadblocks, there's some reasons why. But first of all, I know that my board, the Childersburg Chamber of Commerce Board, wants us to work together with Sylacauga, whether it be Sylacauga city government, the business community, the Chamber of Commerce, and start from there, because that's definitively what we have to do to move our communities forward. I'd like to give an example of that. Some time back, the cities of Auburn and Opelika, they run together physically, and they started promoting themselves as one trade market, Auburn Opelika, and it has made such a difference in their ability to attract new business that fills in gaps in their community along with new industry, and it has really been a stimulating factor for the growth of the Auburn Opelika area. It's one of the fastest growing in the Southeast, not just Alabama. And we're in a similar situation with South Talladega County. We have to stop thinking of ourselves as Sylacauga, Childersburg, Oak Grove, Fayetteville, Winterboro, and start thinking of ourselves as South Talladega County. It's an important factor that will help us grow, because in sheer numbers, the 50,000 plus that live in South Talladega County represent, and the traffic on 21, the traffic on 280, those factors come together to make us a lot more attractive to potential business, because there's a large area of land and people around all of us that they come here because we're the central place to buy things, to get goods and services, and those things are important as a larger area. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was selected for this position, because I'm in a position to see a bigger picture and bring a lot of those stakeholders together.
That 280 corridor, I mean, it's heavily traveled every day, and Childersburg right in the middle of it.
Absolutely. It's a key factor. And another one of the factors that comes into this, the industry that has the biggest potential for growth in our area is tourism. We have so many things. Each and every one of them by themselves may not seem that big, but take, for example, outdoor sporting opportunities that need to be developed. We have an awful lot of fishing tournaments around these areas, and we can have more. And people don't understand. If you're not a fisherman, if you're not a hunter, you don't understand how big shooting and fishing and rafting and kayaking and canoeing and boating and all those things can be. But they bring in an awful lot of people, and we need to have them spend more time and money in South Talladega County.
Tom Roberts, our guest this morning. Tom, city council member in Sylacauga in his first four-year term, and the re-election is coming up, or the election coming up, and the qualifying July 1 or so, and the election later on in August 23rd, I think it is. But how locally here in Sylacauga, with you being on not just the city council, but a number of boards, how's it been received with the announcement of your hiring in Childersburg?
I had a close friend called me, and the first 20 seconds was tough. He considered it being a traitor to Sylacauga, and I said, I'm no less a Sylacauga fan in any aspect than I was before. And he understood. We talked about it a little bit, but for the most part, it's been very, very positive and encouraging, and it'll give you shivers up your spine when people come to you and say congratulations, and that they expect a lot from me and are interested in talking and working toward relationships. And that's exactly what this is all about. It's about building relationships between people of Childersburg and the rest of the world, along with Sylacauga. We're all in this boat together. Let's sail.
Tom Roberts, our guest this morning, and of course we've mentioned that Tom's city councilman in Sylacauga, and you have one vote, but you have, as you mentioned, spent a lot of time. We've got a lot of issues.
We do.
In Sylacauga that's got to be addressed.
And we have addressed some of them, some more adequately than others. And now, one thing that I have preached as a Sylacauga City Councilman, and I had this same conversation with several elected officials in the Childersburg area, along with candidates that are coming up over there, is that we, one, have to work together, and two, we have to have issue-specific game plan moving forward, because if you don't have a plan for what you're going to do and how you're going to get there, then your chances of success dwindle greatly. And the more voices you can bring to that, the better. The more stakeholders you have involved, we need more people in the decision-making process, not fewer. Because that's where ideas come from. Is
the plans in Sylacauga in place? Do we have concrete ideas of and direction of how we need to get to where we need to go? First of all, we've got to have money.
Right, but that's definitively one. But before you get to the money part of it, you have to have a game plan of where you want to go. Because where you want to go is going to determine the how you get there. You have to have a plan in place. And I'll give a grand example of that. There was a controversy up in a little community in northwest Alabama, Cordova. And there were people in town saying that being a part of the Main Street program and coming up with these elaborate plans for what they want for their city is absolutely, positively pointless. But some forward-thinking visionaries up there insisted they do it anyway, and they had no idea how they were going to make those plans work, Jimmy. And lo and behold, God had something in mind on April 27th a few years ago. It was devastating to a lot of places. Tuscaloosa, I think, got the brunt of it and a lot of the attention. But Cordova was another one of those communities that was hit hard and hit heavily, and it destroyed an awful lot of what they had. But they had a plan in place, and all they had to do was go over to this shelf and pick it up and pull it out. And when the FEMA officials came with money, they suddenly had the means to do it. They'd been working hard on trying to find the means to put that plan into place. They thought it was going to be a small baby step kind of thing, and do it over a period of time, and lo and behold, here comes something that changes everything. We need to have a plan in place.
Last 60 seconds with Tom Roberts this morning. Even if you do not run for re-election, I'm not saying you are, you're not.
I honestly haven't made that definitive decision.
Even one way or another, you still got time on this council that you got to devote your time to. How are you going to balance that with the new job in Childersburg?
It's called being organized and things to do list. That's the first thing I did, was give myself a tool to work with, a daily action sheet to make plans. And if you plan and organize, that's a lot easier than you think. And a lot of the hats, you talk with the same people about a lot of the same issues, and you kill two birds with that same stone. It's not as difficult as most people think. It's just a mindset thing, and not being afraid to. If I sit, I fall asleep. I like to keep moving.
Good luck with the new venture.
I'm going to need it. A lot of hard work, and a lot of support from folks.
Thank you for your service to the city of Sylacauga.
You're welcome.
And if you decide to continue, Godspeed with that as well.
Thank you.